We had the worst offensive line in the league. Maybe draft some offensive line, and we did in the second round. But I'm like, but there were a lot of guys left that we could have taken.
Mm-hmm. By the way, Chop is not his real name, for whatever that's worth.
I know.
His real name is
Sometimes you do. Yeah, sometimes you do need to say that though, because DeBrickashaw is actually his real name.
Oh yes,
And
Kool-Aid
yeah,
might. I don't know if Kool-Aid's his real name or not, but I'm kind of hoping it is.
no, it's just that one's just a nickname, thankfully. Um, Probably the easiest endorsement that a player's ever going to end up having.
Mm-hmm. His mom saw the future when she gave him that nickname.
For real. And now is my opportunity to say it on stream since I haven't yelled at the people uh, who watch yet. All those people who are like, oh my god, the Seahawks need a quarterback. The Seahawks need a quarterback. Or by the time you guys got to pick, literally everybody was gone.
Yeah. Because every team in the league is falling for that horse shit.
Right. I'm sitting there like, dude, so many of these guys are going to bust. Because every one of them has the weight of the world on their shoulders now. The expectations of the franchise. Like, Penix, he's got the opportunity to be a good player down the road, but I'm sitting here like, I think he probably could have benefited from one more year in college. Plus, I think he's the kind of guy that should be, coming off the bench for his first couple of seasons and just learning the game.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't think he's instantaneously ready. Everybody thinks everybody thinks that they're getting CJ Stroud immediately. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Like, is that the most quarterbacks taken in the first round ever?
We've had 6 before. I don't think we've ever had 7, so it's tied.
Okay. But is that the first time that it's ever been literally the top 3 picks all pick quarterbacks?
That's happened before, but not for a long time. I'm thinking about it. I don't think it's happened in my lifetime.
I'm just going to start looking. Because, like, the top 2 being quarterbacks has happened plenty of times, but the top 3... Why don't I just Google that? Thursday night was the 4th time in the common draft era starting in 1967 the quarterbacks went with the top 3 picks, with 3 more going in the top 12. It was the fewest number of picks for 6 quarterbacks to be drafted ever. Marked the first time 5 quarterbacks were drafted in the top 10 and matched the famed 1983 class with 6 first-rounders in all, as teams throughout the league went in search of a big-time passer who can turn the fortunes of a franchise. Yeah, a lot of these guys are gonna bust because the quarterbacks every year. There's always a ton of them that bust because they're just not ready. They're capable. They're absolutely capable, but they're just not ready. Great example, Geno Smith. Right quarterback for the Seahawks right now, complete dog shit when he was in New York. It wasn't ready.
Bo Nix has literally never had to read a defense in his life, and he went number 12 overall. Yes, Isla Rose, I'm pretty new. I'm relatively new to kick, but I've been streaming on Twitch for years. Yeah, I think McCormick's the best left guard left, but he's also a little bit of a question mark, so I'm not necessarily enamored with that idea either, but it is viable.
Someone tipped the cops off about suspicious activity. The Harvest and Trustee Bank just got a big gold shipment. You can't go. Okay, crew. I know a large deposit. Looks like the local Trustee Bank had someone renting a whole lot of.
Okay, what's the best way to do this?
The Harvest and Trustee Bank just got a big gold.
How's your stream going? It's going pretty good. Not doing it very long tonight, Isla, but gonna stream for a little bit. I wanted. I mean, I like Dallas Turner.
Recon the bank. My guy dropped a thermal drill somewhere on the premises. Around the.
Yeah,
Got the gold. It's okay.
granted, I'm not the football mind that you are and that Hawk's Nest is, and I haven't been watching your draft streams, so I don't know what you guys have said about it. But considering that you already have Leonard Williams, taking Murphy there instead of Turner, I just don't get that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind drafting whoever you think is best. And clearly we thought Murphy was a better player than Dallas Turner, and I can't really, I can't really hate on that too much. But I thought that... I thought that Turner was clearly a better player. I'll put it to you that way. And a lot of people don't agree with that. I will acknowledge that. So I don't hate the pick. There are a lot of people that love this player more than I do. So all it takes is me just being wrong in my evaluation. And we're good, you know?
Yeah.
A man named Chop.
Get down. Stay low. I see you took a hostage. That'll slow them down for a little.
Last time 3 went, 3 quarterbacks in the top 3 picks was 1999. You want to hear their names?
Donovan McNabb, Tim Couch, and Alakai Smith.
There you go.
Pretty bad.
And McNabb was second.
Mm-hmm.
Browns took Couch with the first overall pick. Good God. I don't even know who the hell... Jesus. Listen to this guy's whole name. Kabisa Akili Maradufu Smith.
I'm not sure. Everything's in order over here, though. Over.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I know, David.
Yeah.
I caught the end of the Wolves game. Pretty bad.
Massive whiff on that, because here's another quarterback that was still available, taken 11th.
Dante Culpepper.
Dante Culpepper.
Yep. It was only good because he had Randy Moss for a few years. But regardless, at least he was good at some point.
Yeah. And can you imagine how good Tom Brady would have been if he got to play with Randy Moss? I still remember when that happened. When I was in high school, I was in a class that had 2 teachers, and one of the teachers was there for half the week, the other teacher was there for the other half. One of them was from New Jersey, and the other one was from Boston. So when that Super Bowl starts up, they're like, "Oh yeah, we get a big time bet going on." Everyone's like, "Oh man, there's no fucking way. There's no fucking way that the Giants are going to win this game." And they did. And it was hilarious because of course everybody welched on all the bets that they made because like they weren't serious.
Hmm.
They were like, "Holy fuck, how did that happen?" And that was like the first time I experienced mass scale welching. And I'm like, "Man, now I know why bookies beat the shit out of people and break people's legs." It was wild, man. This is impressive. Akili Smith is still alive.
I think he played college football at Oregon State, if I recall.
Let me see here. For the Ducks.
Oh, okay, so he was Oregon.
Yeah, and that I think that's why he got picked is because and this is another thing that always happens with the draft is that when a guy is uh he plays for a big name school, he's probably going to get seen as being better than he actually is just because he's playing for a more famous and a more prestigious school.
Hmm.
But he's not actually better. And I think that kind of thing happens a lot. And I think that's a great example of a time when scouts were blinded by, "Oh shit, look at this guy from Oregon." I'm like, when's the last time Oregon came up with a quarterback that was actually good?
We should be through in a couple of minutes.
And this is a poorly positioned safe for stealth. I don't know.
So
if
what's
I'm gonna be able
Akili
to
Smith
this.
up to these days? In June of 2020, Smith was hired onto the coaching staff at Maranatha High School in Pasadena, California. It's a private college preparatory Christian school.
Hmm.
There are 679 students there, and these basically Coach Smith is pretty much the only black guy on campus. Very funny.
Mhm.
Don't move. Down. Everybody on the ground. All good. Sometimes I just see things. Not to alarm you. I'd like to report a robbery. Stay down, everybody. And yeah, there goes the alarm. Stay down, people. Stay down, people. 20 until police arrive. Fucking worthless.
Mhm.
Yeah, that really stings. I'm looking at some Heat fans talking about stuff, and Spo losing Coach of the Year in 2022 to Monty Williams is one of the biggest travesties I think ever because that was the perfect opportunity. Since it's a regular season award, that was a perfect opportunity to give a lifetime achievement award to Spo and say, you know what, you've been one of the best coaches in the league for a really long fucking time now. You never got the credit that you deserved because you had Hall of Famers on your team, but there are plenty of guys who coach teams with Hall of Famers who are nowhere near as good as you are. Cough, cough, Glenn, cough, cough. That was the perfect opportunity to give him the award, and instead they give it to Monty Williams because Monty's black. And the league will never, ever pass up an opportunity to give an award to a black guy as opposed to anyone else that would actually deserve it.
Right. Okay. So I didn't pay any attention to basketball today because I was busy. So what happened? I saw the end of the Wolves Suns game, so I know that the Suns are bitching out.
Yeah, the Wolves blew the Suns straight out. For that game,
Stay down, everybody.
for that game, Beal Booker and Durant combined for 26 field goals. The entire rest of the Suns team accounted for 9. You can't win in this league without depth. That's why I said when they made the trade that the Suns were fucking themselves, and here it is. This is the best case scenario for them. All 3 guys are healthy. It's the playoffs. They're healthy in the playoffs. They're all playing at the same time. They're not injured at all. This is the best they could possibly get for them, and they're getting raped. They have no first-round picks. Because of the way that I think it's a Stepien rule. Because of the way that works, they have to alternate years. If they have first-round picks or second-round picks, you can't give away all of your draft picks in a single year.
But none of their picks will be any good because they'll be just good enough to not be in the lottery.
Yeah, for real. But they on alternating years, they don't have first-round or second-round picks until 2035. And this is the best it's going to get for them. So yeah, they're fucked. And if I was a Suns fan, I would be hanging myself as we speak. The Pacers beat the Bucks in an absolute thriller. Chris Middleton played extraordinary heroics, but Lillard is hurt, and it's an Achilles injury. He can still play, and he continued playing through the game, but he finished the game 6 for 20.
The Tyler Harrow special.
Yes. However, Middleton played absolute fucking heroics. The thing is, he was just gassed because Middleton was the only guy who was doing anything. He hit probably 5 game-tying threes in the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter in overtime. And he tried to take another game-tying 3 at the end of the game to send it to double overtime, but there was only 1 second left on the shot clock. It didn't look like he got it off in time. He missed anyway, but he probably didn't even get it off in time. They just needed him to do too much, and eventually he couldn't get it done. But the real reason that they lost was because Brook Lopez could not get a rebound. I shit you not. There was a 2-minute time frame during overtime. That's not an exaggeration. It was actually 2 minutes of game time where the Pacers would fire off a 3, they would miss, but they'd get the offensive rebound. They had 9 field goal attempts during this sequence. They were 1 for 9 during that sequence.
The Lopez brothers were never much for protecting the paint.
I mean, Jesus Christ, man. It was hard to watch. For 2 minutes of game time, the Bucks didn't get a single rebound, just offensive rebound after offensive rebound. Halliburton ended up with a triple-double and 16 rebounds. 7 of those rebounds were just in that sequence.
That's pretty funny.
It's absurd. And the funniest thing is when the Bucks finally got a rebound in that sequence, fucking Lillard got it because the ball just bounced right at him. Oh man, the shortest guy on the court got it. So anyway, yeah, Pacers are now up 2-1.
And the Bucks are toast.
And yeah, because Lillard's hurt with his Achilles injury, a lot of Bucks fans are saying this is the end. However, they still could have won this game anyway if they just got a rebound. That sequence is what lost them the game. So you can't blame Lillard being hurt forever. And that was probably the best game that Chris Middleton has played in his entire life. So they have no excuse to lose that because you can't lose a game where a guy gives you when he spends his life force, you can't let him down. So yeah, the Bucks are probably done. And the Mavs Clippers game, the Mavs win.
Mm-hmm.
The Clippers, James Harden played really well. Paul George was fairly mediocre. But the reason that the Clippers lost, it was an 11-point Mavericks win. The reason the Clippers lost is because the bench unit was so awful. So fucking bad. Westbrook, for instance, had 1 point on 7 shots.
Mm-hmm. I did see that. I saw he got ejected too, I think.
I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, it was fucking bad. While that game was going on, I was trying to DoorDash, so I was watching pieces of it in that fucking sushi bar that I was at.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Westbrook was just awful. Like, holy fuck. That's why I come back and I'm all like, oh man, Russell Westbrook and playing like shit in Los Angeles. Name a more iconic duo.
Pretty much.
Like, holy fuck, it was bad. So yeah, like Kyrie exploded late, but Luka had another game. Like, Paul George is playing excellent defense on Luka. This is probably the worst series that Luka's ever had in his life because the Clippers are playing excellent defense, but their bench unit cannot score. And again, when you don't have a deep team, you just lose. That's all it comes down to. Luka was 7 for 25, including 3 for 14 from 3 with 5 turnovers. But the Mavs still win by 11. And it's not because Kyrie played amazing. Kyrie was pretty mid for the whole game right until the last 5 minutes. But like that's all it takes, you know. If you don't have depth, you're going nowhere.
Yeah, I'm surprised Luke has gotten so good at defense. I thought he would be one of those all offense, no defense players his whole career. So who plays tomorrow? Because I'm probably going to miss most of that too.
A lot of people are playing tomorrow. I think there's either 4 or 5 games. The two series between the first seed and 8th seeds. So Heat, Celtics, Thunder, Pelicans.
Mm-hmm.
Then I forget who else, but I think it might be Cavs, Magic.
Mm-hmm. All right.
But Lakers, Nuggets will end tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Isla Rose, I already have a community. It's just on YouTube and Twitch mostly. Kick is just something that I mirror my stream to. I already have a community. Okay, let's see. But, okay.
So yeah, the Nuggets, Lakers. So the Nuggets get to complete the sweep tomorrow. That was hilarious. I was laughing so hard on Inside the NBA last night after that game. Charles Barkley comes out and he's got a broom and he's sweeping the floor when they're talking about the Nuggets Lakers. And Kenny's like, "That's not funny. That's not funny."
Yeah,
And I'm like, "Why are you uptight? Or like, are you fucking kidding me? First of all, that's hilarious. Secondly, he's not wrong. Like,
the last playoff game LeBron James will win in his career was to knock out Curry.
yeah, I think it's pretty appropriate, all things considered. I'm like, that's a good note to end on. What's not a good note to end on is that half the times he gets swept in his career is just in the last 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Shields eliminated. Get ready for the first wave. Remember to watch those money bags. This ass white.
Oh, shit. I didn't realize this was a thing.
But while the series is far from over, and we're probably still more than likely going to lose it, I'm really, really hoping and starting to believe that the Heat can beat the Celtics. Because Azula sucks. It's funny because after the last game, Celtics fans are like, "Why do the Heat always play so historically amazing against us? This isn't sustainable and blah blah blah." And it's like, in the last 9 playoff games, the Heat have played against the Celtics. 4 out of those 9, the Heat have shot over 50% from 3. It's not an anomaly. This is the way that it goes because Missoula plays these really fucking retarded coverages against the 3 and expose perimeter sets. Expose that. Almost all of our 3s are wide open looks, and it's designed because that's how we pick apart the defense. Missoula doesn't make adjustments in terms of the way that he plays the scheme. Because he's just using Brad Stevens' system that Ime Udoka also used when Brad Stevens stopped being the coach. And once they fired Udoka for having consensual sex with an adult woman, which is illegal in the state of Massachusetts, Missoula was using the same system, but he's basically following a manual. So when something's not working, the adjustments he makes is he changes the personnel. He doesn't change the way that they play. But if their goal is still the same, and if the system is still designed to do the same thing, then the same way to attack it is still going to hold true.
I just can't believe they have this incredibly stacked roster, and they're giving it to a irrelevant, no-name coach like Missoula, instead of trying to get somebody like Budenholzer or something. Somebody proven.
Yeah. If they lose in the first round to Miami here, 100% Missoula's fired, and they'll probably try to pick up Bud. Bud was taking a year off, like I suspected he would, and his name has already surfaced as being a target for a lot of different teams that are trying to hire coaches. It's definitely, especially if the Bucks lose to the Pacers here, then they're going to have egg on their face big time over that firing, because they're going to be like, We've gone through 2 coaches since then. One of them was Glenn, of all people. We still lose in the first round. I think we might have pulled the trigger on that too early.
Yeah, although obviously these injuries, I don't know if Bud would have been able to win this series with all these injuries.
Yeah, I've been calling the Pacers a dark horse since December, before they made the Siakam trade. Because it's a great team that is built to play playoff basketball, and their coach is Rick Carlisle. So I'm like, this team's going to surprise somebody in the playoffs. And then they made the Siakam trade, and to me, I'm like, that's it. That's what they needed. This is like the perfect team to pull off an upset in the playoffs. And wouldn't you know it? But yeah, the point I was going to make about Miami beating Boston is that even though we lost game 1 by like a really significant margin, and the Celtics had a huge lead at one point, we brought their lead down to 4 at one point in the third quarter.
I actually didn't know
And then,
that.
Yeah, we brought it down to 4. And then Tyler Hero decided to shit his pants like Tua playing an important game. And then that just let it go. It just ballooned right back out from there. Because wasted possession after wasted possession, we just couldn't get anything going. But all he needed to do was play a game that wasn't completely awful, like one of the worst of his entire career, and then we win. And that's exactly what happened in game 2. And that was only Boston's 5th home loss all season, and they've been way worse on the road than they are at home. So it's like, literally, as long as Hero doesn't decide to have historically bad games, we got a real shot at winning this thing. Because even in game 1, when he played like shit, we brought that lead down within 4 in the second half. Oh, imagine if instead of shitting up the place, he decided when the lead was within 4 points, he was like, hey, let me actually make some shots now. Let me not turn the ball over. Could you imagine if we were up 2-0 right now? Like, holy fuck.
Joe Mazzulla
Celtics
would
fans would be
already
having
be
fucking...
fired.
Yeah, exactly.
They'd be trying to hire Phil Jackson in the middle of the series.
Phil Jackson would be like, hey, what's Greg Monroe up to these days? I need somebody with a huge ass to play in my... A triangle. Jesus Christ. You love to see it. So yeah, I'm while on the one hand I'm gonna keep calm, because I'm like, yeah, we're probably still gonna lose this one. I am also keeping the faith, because I'm like, holy shit, we might actually win this one. If we brought that game within 4 points in game 1, and we actually win game 2 by double digits. And that's in Boston that we do that. I mean, shit, just considering the way that things go, as long as we never lose a game in Miami, we already win the series.
It's going to be
All we
interesting.
gotta do. But no matter what else happens, we got the Celtics fans leaving early before the game was over. As long as I live, I'll never let them forget that. I'm all like, oh, you sons of bitches. It's not just that you did it, it's that you did it against us. I'm like, ooh. I can't fucking wait for that Dan Le Batard rant. Oh my god.
Fried chicken, my favorite. I was talking about this in the stream today. And I was saying, if I ever was able to, like, get permission to go to Seahawks training camp before the season started, you know, when they've got, like, the 90-man rosters, and I got to, like, interview all the players or talk to all the players or whatever, I said what I would do is I would just go around and ask each one, Oscar or Ray, and see how many of them get it. And I asked, out of the 90 players, how many would get it? And people were guessing. It was pretty amusing. Some people said 20, which I thought was way too high. One person said 8. I could buy that.
Man, it's a shame that they fired Pete, because, you know, his senile mind, you probably could have convinced him to do Nutsack Monday.
It sounds like something Sam Hyde would do. Just go to a random sports team's training camp and just talk about things like Nutsack Monday. That seems like a Sam Hyde maneuver of some kind, for some reason. Hey, what's that in your pocket?
Oh man, that'd be hysterical. Because it looks interesting. What is that? I want to talk about it. It looks really interesting. Oh man, but yeah, I forget who it was, but I know that there's one one professional athlete. I can't even remember what sport it is. The guy's like a huge fucking weeaboo. He
Jamal
wore like a
Williams.
Naruto.
I think you're talking
There
about
you
Jamal
go.
Williams.
Yeah, he was wearing a Naruto headband in the locker room for one of the interviews.
When you think about it, these players are our age. It makes sense that they would be into some of the same things that we were or are into, right?
Yeah, like the only thing you need is for them to not have been raised in like a violent ghetto environment, because then they would have had a working television. So yeah, then they would have grown up watching Naruto and Dragon Ball Z and all that kind of shit, which is how you end up with plenty of guys who do. But the thing is, more of them are like John Morant than they are Jamal Williams, where they feel ashamed that they're a part of the larger culture that isn't a bunch of bloodthirsty savages. So then they want to be like, no, look, guys, I am too. And then they ruin their career.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen 8 Mile?
Parts of it, never watched it all the way through, just on its own. But
Yeah.
I'm like familiar with the whole thing. Yeah.
Right. Well, at the climax of the movie, the way Eminem wins the big rap battle is he goes up to the guy that he's rap battling against and basically says, you know, like, you went to private school, your parents are rich, you grew up with both of your parents, you had a stable house. It's, but when you really break it down, it's pretty amusing that that's how these people insult each other. You had a good parental figures in your life. You, didn't grow up with your father going to get milk and never coming back. You, when you really break that down, it's pretty, funny.
Right, you know, every member of your immediate family is alive. You know, your brother didn't get shanked in prison for being a diddler or some shit like. Jesus.
But that's literally what John Morant is, right? He literally went to private
Right.
school. He literally had a 2-parent household. And he views this as a burden.
Right. Oh man, I'm never gonna live this down. I can't believe that I had a stable home growing up, which enabled me to become a professional athlete.
We're in the clear. Okay, gang. My mole and the police will take care of this.
Oh, that I didn't know that, David. I actually didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
No one will know you're here.
And yeah, wasn't that the Winter Soldier's first well, not Winter Soldier, the Falcon's first role. Anthony Mackie's first role, I think.
The Planet of the Apes remake with Mark Wahlberg.
Oh boy. I didn't say that.
No, you racist. He played one of the astronauts, obviously.
The new jewelry store downtown is loaded with jewels. Those could be ours. You want to pay them?
No, this is a really good way of putting it, because people in the Heat community, they're talking about the Spo being a Coach of the Year thing.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy says the Coach of the Year is cursed, so I'm glad that Spo hasn't won it. So this guy says Coach of the Year isn't cursed. The thing is, it just normally goes to coaches who luck into having a good roster after they had a shitty one for a long time. So when they start to underperform because the coach sucks with that roster, they end up getting fired. That makes the appearance of a curse. When really, the guy never should have been coaching that team to begin with because he got hired to coach a team that sucked. Then they just signed a big free agent or they made a big trade or whatever, and then suddenly you've got this guy who shouldn't be anywhere near the fucking team. Like, this happens to Mike Brown a lot. It's exactly how Monty Williams ended up getting it.
I think I got the radio wet when I was washing my hands.
And I'm like, yeah, it does end up being pretty fucking rare when they give Coach of the Year to a guy who's actually good.
Pretty amusing.
When the NBA did a top 15 coaches of all time, Spo was actually the youngest.
Well, he's probably
That's
one of the
pretty
few
neat.
that's still active, right? Him, Popovich, and was anyone else? Oh,
Sure.
Doc.
Kerr was also in that list, and yeah, Kerr and Glenn both don't deserve it, but you know, modern biases and all that kind of crap.
Mm-hmm.
Popovich, yes. Spo, yes. And it's like that's pretty much it. Are the guys coaching in the league in the last 10 years? It's pretty wild to me, though, that Spo kept constantly getting a ton of shit about anybody can win with this roster. When the Heat were winning championships with LeBron, so that's why no one ever gave him credit.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, anybody can win with this roster. They didn't use the same thought process for Steve Kerr.
Yeah, that is very true. I'm surprised they just didn't default to giving it to him the year he had the 27-game win streak.
Yeah, a fucking 1,000,000% he should have got it in 2013 because you had the second longest winning streak in the history of professional sports. The only longer one was that Lakers team with Wilt that won 33 straight, but the second longest winning streak in professional sports. That's pretty fucking nice. He had that going for him. They won 66 games. They had the top record in the league. And it was the franchise's, to this day still is, the franchise's wins record. Why the fuck would he not get it? And the reason that he didn't get it is because they were giving a Lifetime Achievement Award to George Karl, which I'm not going to hate on him for because that Nuggets team was still excellent. They were very good. They had a very long win streak themselves that season. But again, it's because they exceeded expectations. People didn't expect them to be very good, and then they suddenly were. So they said, wow, George Karl, he's really something. Let's give him that Lifetime Achievement Award because he's been an amazing coach for so many years, and he hasn't gotten it yet. He deserves it now. But based off of these same thought processes that go into giving it to other guys, they 1,000,000% should have gave it to Spo. Because the same year that the Cavs won 66 games, where they didn't have a 27-game win streak, but they won 66 games, Mike Brown won Coach of the Year for being coach of that team. They didn't give it to Spo because he's Filipino, and they don't want to give an Asian a basketball award. It's that simple. Like, great example. 2012. 2012 was the Linsanity season. Why didn't Jeremy Lin win Most Improved Player?
Down! I said get down!
You know who got it was fucking Ryan Anderson.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Every hostage you take slows the cops down.
Jeremy Lin finished 6th, bro.
Come along now.
Man, with the massive phenomenon that was Linsanity,
Come on.
Right.
you'd think that would have been a
In
slam
order
dunk.
the voting: Ryan Anderson, Ersan Ilyasova, Nikola Pekovic, Andrew Bynum, Greg Monroe, and then Jeremy Lin.
Listen, we're here to do a job, so do the job.
What the hell? And again, the answer is obvious. They don't want to give an award to an Asian guy. It's basketball. So I laugh my ass off anytime they talk about racism as being the reason why a black coach or a black player doesn't get an award. It's like, yeah, be fucking kidding me. Basketball is almost entirely black. It's got the largest black representation of any sport in the world. There's no fucking way that you're seriously going to sit there and say, well, he didn't win because of racism. Meanwhile, you're actually holding Asian guys back from winning awards that they fucking deserve. Linsanity deserved Most Improved Player. That was the phenomenon of the lockout season. And he came in 6th? What the fuck? Like,
Nobody move. On the ground.
how is that even possible?
Stay where you are. Get down. Stay where you are. Stay where you are. Stay down. Stay where you are.
Actually, I didn't even know that. I mean, by how many hundreds of millions of dollars do you think Jeremy Lin increased the value of the NBA that season? Even my mom, I remember coming home to my mom one weekend from where I was living up north, and she was talking about Jeremy Lin, and she does not watch basketball.
Right. When Jeremy Lin left the Knicks and then he ended up on the Rockets. Now the Rockets were already the most popular team in China because of Yao, but after Yao retired, there was a huge drop off. And then here comes Lin, and then suddenly the Rockets are the only team in the league that have Chinese writing on their jerseys. And it was directly because of Jeremy Lin. And you have what you just said there in terms of what he did for the league, and it's like, well, think about all those guys who came ahead of him in the voting. Nikola Pekovic, I remember him. He was the center on the Kevin Love Timberwolves.
Yeah.
How far do you think he moved the needle? Like, are you kidding me? What the fuck? That is mind-boggling to consider. And then again, Yao, who had one of the greatest rookie seasons ever, not winning Rookie of the Year, instead it went to Amari Stoudemire. Now Stoudemire still had a great rookie season, but why the fuck didn't Yao win it?
I want to say it's because Amari made the playoffs, but I'm not sure if that's true or not.
Well, yeah, they did, but
I mean, by that logic, Carmelo should have won Rookie of the Year over LeBron, because Carmelo made the playoffs.
right. Number one, you've got that. Number two, if I remember correctly, I think it was halfway through the season, Steve Nash came back to the Suns.
I remember that, David. I remember that very well. That was hysterical. Chink in the armor.
What?
Somebody
oh,
on
yeah.
ESPN wrote the article after a big Knicks loss. Chink in the armor.
Oh, yeah. I think it's the same guy who ended up getting a job at the New York Post, and now he writes all the euphemisms. 10 years ago, I wrote the Chink in the Armor article talking about how Jeremy Lin was the weak link for the Knicks. 10 years later, I'm writing Massive Goon stabs woman on South.
The van is coming back. Get ready. The van is back. Get the backs to it.
Massive Goons could be here. I hate Massive Goons.
Great. Keep them coming.
They're running away!
Way to go. That was seriously.
All right. I just need to get out. Get out.
It was messy, but you got the job done.
Oh, got my first paper back. I had 2 papers to write for that class. My first paper came back passed. So it's got the other one now.
Is it pass fail, or are there actually
Yes,
like?
yes, it's pass fail.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I think that's actually going to do it for tonight. I just needed something to do while I was doing laundry. So I'll see you guys in the morning. Thanks for coming out.